Hey, it's Big River Bigfoot, and today I'm over by the Mississippi River at a conservation area where the group does research, and this is the campsite where my friend Bill said he had an encounter several years ago. The story goes that he had his tent set up right back here by these trees, and this was the very first night he went out here by himself. He thought he was going to have a quiet, peaceful night, and he was laying in the tent and he could see out of the tent screen, and then that's when it came out of the woods right over here out of these trees. He said a Bigfoot appeared right in this spot, and it huffed at him 3 or 4 times really loud, like oh, oh, like made some sort of sound like that. And he got so scared that he pulled his .45 pistol out and he aimed where he thought its head would have been, right up here, and he fired several times, and then it ran off. And then he thought it was going to be all quiet after that, but then the woods just lit up, exploded with all these sounds like hoops, hollers, tree knocks, screams, and that went on for hours, he said. So Bill was so scared in his tent when that happened, he just laid there frozen in fear until morning. And then he said as soon as the sun came up, he pulled his tent out of the ground, threw it in the back of the truck, and drove back. He drove away, and he said that was the most scared he's ever been that one night. But I've got Eric here, a researcher I know, and he was around during the time when this happened, so he's going to share the details that he remembers from that time.
At that time, I lived in Kennett, Missouri, which was 2 hours away, just from Kennett. And I'd gotten a message on my phone saying Bill got ran out of the woods and that he was going to be back out here before dark, late in the afternoon, talk to everybody, and then he was going to leave. But unfortunately, I didn't get back there in time. And what Bill told me was that he was out here. It was probably 4 o'clock in the morning, and he was surrounded by them. They were hooting, hollering, making all kinds of noise. They were mad and ticked off. And Bill was pretty scared, and Bill's tent was back over here and near the woods. And of course, it's all open right here, and then we got a hill right up here on the other side of the road. And Bill was just, he didn't know what to do. And apparently he unzipped his tent and seen the silhouette of one in front of the tent, about 10, 15 feet away, maybe 20. And so he stuck his .45 out the door and popped off 3 rounds. And you would think, okay, he popped off 3 rounds. You heard this thing go crashing through the woods next to the tent, taking off. You'd think everything would have got quiet, and it didn't. It got really loud. He said all up on the hillside and around the camp in the woods, they went nuts, screaming and hollering and everything else. And so all he done was just huddle up in his tent, stayed awake until daybreak. Then he threw all of his stuff in the back of his truck and got out of here. Then he came back later that afternoon and was going to tell everybody the story. Unfortunately, I did not make it from Arkansas. I just looked at my wife when I got the message on my phone. We were at Cracker Barrel. What about this point? right up here, one had come down off that hill, come across the road, and apparently had jumped. And halfway down, the hill was about 6 inches deep, and the toes was like about 3 inches deep. And you could reach in that hole and you could feel the toes. And everybody was shocked, you know. They didn't look very well. I did. So we sat down for a while. Well, I was still up roaming around, and I was out here on the road, and a guy came by on an all-terrain. So he stopped talking to me, and he said there was a bunch here for probably 4 or 5 days. They were doing a lot of fishing. He said the only thing it is, they were throwing the fish all along the side of the road. They wasn't keeping any of them. They were just throwing them out there. And I'm like, really? And apparently, from what I surmised from that was that they were coming out here getting the fish. And Bill shows up. He didn't do no fishing. So he didn't throw no fish out there, so they were pissed off because he didn't gift to them. Didn't have nothing for them. And so they were mad. So me and the wife was going to stay the night. We slept in the back of our car, little Mitsubishi Outlander, uncomfortable as could be. But we stayed the night. We didn't have, well, we had a couple of headlamps. That was about it. Using our phone. I think we had headlamps. It may have been just our phones. And while the group was still here, I'd done a yell at 11 o'clock, and there was a yell way back off in the distance. I got a reply. And so the group all left at 12. Me and the wife sitting up here in the grass. The only light that was lit up was her phone. She was reading a book on her phone. And I was just sitting there looking at the hill. And we both kind of looked at each other, started blaming each other for some stink that happened. And we were both blaming each other. I mean, God, it was an awful smell. It didn't last but maybe 30 seconds. And then the smell was gone. And later on, you know, with everything that's gone on, after 2.5 years of coming out here every other weekend and holidays and everything else, that we must have had a Bigfoot real close to us because we were just sitting pretty much in the dark. And the wife said, well, I'm going to get up, I'm going to lay down. It was right at 1 o'clock. And she gets up, and there's a scream down here at the creek. And I'm like, oh, hell no. There's just the two of us here. I'm not about to agitate it after what had went on the night before. And so we just got in the car and didn't really sleep that much. I mean, I kept my eye out looking out around, but never did see nothing. And I mean, they're all up and down the Mississippi River here. I mean, that's all there is to it. There's no secret to it. I've been to the other conservation areas. Me and Steve, we found all kinds of footprints. We found evidence of them. And the only way you're going to see one is if one messes up, if they screw up. That's the only way you're going to see one. Now, hear one and stuff used to be out here. They would come around, they'd watch you, they'd interact with you. I'm starting to wonder if maybe they've gotten bored, they're not being entertained enough, and they're just not impressed anymore. And don't want to come around. May have to try some of the other campsites.
Why do you think that during the years between like 2000 2019 to 2021, it was so active.
I
And then
think it's because people was coming out here hunting and stuff, but nobody ever come out here looking for them. You know, I think somebody would be out here camping, they'd watch them and they'd be impressed with them, but when they realize that somebody knows we're here and they're disturbing our hunting and our fishing or whatever it is they do, that we're disturbing them and that we're not entertaining them, or they've seen a human and say, well, I know they're real. What's the point in seeing another one? Just like I've seen Bigfoot 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 times. And I've seen one. Do I just, but I keep coming back out here. I want to talk to one. I want one to come out in the open, sit down, let's talk. Let's come to an understanding, let's be friends. What are the chances that happening? Very, very slim.
well, I've heard some people talk about experiencing voices in their heads, like the mind speak from the Bigfoots out here.
I haven't had any mind speak. I have had the one time that I felt like I had the bad feeling. I don't know if I got zapped or what it was, and I've heard of people talk about getting zapped. And I've watched a lot of these podcasts and these other things, and which I've got to where, finding Bigfoot, that was my big thing I loved to watch until I started actually coming out here and doing it and realized they were full of it. And all they were doing was trying to entertain people. I can't stand to watch it and then find out that 3 of them out of the 4 had seen one time. Seen one once. And they're experts. I've seen them 4 times. What does that make me, crazy? They're no experts. There is no experts at this. Period, exclamation point. I don't care who they think they are. I mean, how many people go out in the woods saying, okay, I'm going to go look for Bigfoot? No, they're going to come out here, go camping and stuff. If you're lucky, you might see one. That's the problem. I got lucky. I'm starting to think that maybe the area is dead. I know they're still out here, but I don't think they're as curious as what they used to be, because they've known you were looking for them, come and watch you, got bored with it, and now they're just not coming around. That may be the problem, and we may have to try a few other spots.